Good day and welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. We are approaching the round of 16 and these will be the last couple of games of the round robin, so hold on to your seatbelts. We're kicking off with McGrae versus Mix Protoss, and we are looking at some kind of a weird pylon going off in the mineral line of the opponent. The question then is, what will be following up? And as there are no minerals and still two probes attacking the pylon, something had better be done about that quickly. And it's a good rush strategy, but if you take your time in placing the next building, this pylon will suffer horribly, and if it's going to be some kind of a cannon or gateway rush, it had probably better be executed a little bit tighter. Here we go, first gateway planted, and now three probes are attacking. Oh yeah, three probes are attacking the pylon. No, this one just wanted to harvest, and it looks like, oh well, this one is engaged in the fighting as well. Two probes attacking attacking the nexus, and we could do with another pylon soon, because this one's going to go down, and Mix doesn't really have any kind of a backup plan. And now we'll see the gas taken and another pylon built. Curiously, this gateway is still warping, it will just be unpowered, and as soon as this, oh dear, as this pylon is back up, it can produce zealots. Of course, the gateway of McGrae itself is also completed by now, so that will be, of course, a little bit quicker. And unfortunately, the gas is completely walled off like this, but you can't have it all, as they say. So, production screen-wise, we'll see the zealot of McGrae finishing first, but it will have to wiggle through the mining. Oh, it goes for the probe first. I think that's the good decision. We've got two pylons, two white pylons, and the question now is, what will the zealot attack? It will attack one of the gates first, and then we'll have the new probe and more probes still mining here. Another probe being sent over, and McGrae will have to deal with a lot of pressure soon. Going for... oh, the probe snuffs it. Going for the core, and hopefully another zealot. And the zealot of, oh dear, McGrave's zealot is somehow stuck and is going after the pylon, after the probe. Meanwhile, the zealot of Mix is racking up the probe kills, and that's not good. You can see the worker lead is now for Mix. Mix, of course, hasn't got anything in its main, so it will have to sort of win with this. We've now got two zealots though for Mix, and they are going to kill another probe, I think. Yeah, this one snuffs it. And the last pylon is going to go down. Will there be another one? No, that's another gateway, and this is also for Mix. But there isn't a pylon, and with the zealot and two probes killing it, it will take some time before it can be powered again, as there is the next probes only here. Now though, we've got three zealots out and only one zealot of McGrave's. And although it's able to snipe one of the zealots of Mix, but all the probes are gone. Only two probes left, and a new pylon has been built with and another one. Three pylons have been built, so that is going to be the end of that, I suppose. This zealot has gotten itself stuck on something likewise. This one, and I don't really know why. But with two gates, surely there must be pumping zealots. As soon as they finish, yep, there we go, two zealots built, and now attacking the core as well. And the last, only a couple of probes left for McGrae. Will McGrae be able to recuperate? Mix isn't interested in anything else, just building probes. Occasionally it sacrifices a couple, and you can see here the it can't just kill this zealot, because the zealot wants to kill the probe. But by now there are two fresh zealots out, and this isn't really going anywhere. A third gate being built in the middle of your base, and even though you're one of the top dots, it will take a little bit more than this, it looks like, to stop an aggressive gateway rush like the one just executed by Mix, and another probe's coming over. Probe count here is okay, and by now all the buildings are, oh dear, the last is gone, the last zealot is gone, and this is going to be the GG. Let's hop into the next game. These two games have been recommended, so I will cast them at the start. I've got another one which has been recommended, but it landed among all the replays I selected myself, so I hope I can still find out what it is. So this game is Crookey versus Travis Shelton. Travis Shelton, of course, random here rolled as a Zerg, and Crookey is a decent teal Terran. Let's see what it's going to do. Depot first, lots of SCVs, then the barracks, and Travis Shelton is taking its sweet time, going for the hatch first. Of course, an Overlord and then a hatch. And is that going to be another hatch? That's 3 hatch. Oh, that's pretty ballsy. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's too slow. The first Marines are out, and they found an Overlord to play with, which they have some trouble in attacking. That might just be the saving grace for Travis Shelton. Travis has got 3 hatcheries, has got a lot of money, but hasn't got a spawning pool even started. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge. And Crookey is going to do its Marine thing, it looks like. 3 barracks and a couple of depots. Lots of SCVs, and where is that pool coming to come from? That's really going to be the question. And now the drone is going to scout. Oh, and it triggers all the Marines. That shouldn't really do that. 4th base being taken for Shelton. And only now is the gas started and the pool started as well. So if you can get away with this, it's a good build, because you end up with 19 workers, 4 bases, and then the pool. But it's so very difficult because you've got 19 Marines already, and the moment they start hopping over, you're going to be in a bit of a mess because you haven't got even started your first pair of Zerglings yet. Now, 3rd base is being saturated, natural saturated as well. We've got 30 workers almost. The 4th base is up as well, and Crookey has got 23 army supply versus 0 of Travis Shelton. What could be the idea? Oh, we've got a lair. We've got a lair and not a single unit, and lots of drones. What the bloody... Oh, and now the Marines have had enough. Oh, and another lair here. So we've got 2 lairs started, and this is going to block in something. But Crookey has found the enemy base, but it's only interested to kill the drones. So it heads back to base with 33 army supply, finding 2 overlords, and this will supply block Shelton. So if these Marines all moved over now, there would be hell to pay at the Zerg end of things. We've got the Hydra Den, and we've got 41 workers. We haven't got a single army unit built, and these drones are going to suicide for reasons I can't explain. Now the SCV saturation of Crookey is growing ever stronger, so it will need to take another base or long distance mine. It's spilling out from its base, but isn't really scouting, and we still haven't got any army from Shelton. And now they have found this base here, probably, hopefully, oh well, someone has shot at this lair, but the Marines are all pretty messed up, and we've got, oh dear, we've got a Queen's Nest, we've got an Evo Bay, and we've got something brewing here as well. This base is being saturated with drones, which are throwing down their lives. You've got 53 Marines, and I would say, Crookey, please kill this lair and not the egg. Oh dear, this is so sad to watch all these drones. So many drones have been killed. If they even were to attack this building SCV, they might effect something, but it isn't really happening. And we've got 61 Marines, 0 army supply for Zerg. We've got the Spire, we've got the extra gas, we've got a Queen's Nest and a Hydra Den. And what have we got here? This will be something else. Another Evo Chamber, lots of drones, all kinds of upgrades, all kinds of... We've got Broodling, Burrow and Snare, and 0 army supply. While Crookey, meanwhile, has 80 Marines, and still drones are being wasted. I don't keep track of who suggested this game, but it's really something. Oh, we've got the Hive started, so perhaps after the Hive is done, and the Great Aspire, the Ultra Cannon, and the Defiler Mount, will we see some combat units and all these drones dying in masses here. Travis Shelton only on 30 workers, and finally, oh dear, is the lair being engaged and more drones are being sent over. And Travis Shelton has got 0 workers, and oh no, it kicks out, it bugs. It was bugged out earlier, but it crashed or something. Well, GG, Crookey takes the game with 111 Marines, well done. So, what I am about to say is, oh, we've got the stream running and all, that's great. You can see here StarCraft AI beating Casey. Oh no, Casey Bot looks to be winning. I'd like to thank all our sponsors. Alexander Seidel, Bitcoin Forks IO, Björn Lindberg, David Hansen, Gabriel Senev, Martin Pitiak, Michael Suster, Newbie Edge, and Rossen.ai. Thank you very much. And if you want to support us, here is the Patreon button, so you can support us financially as well. So now having a look at the rankings, we see at number 1 Ironbot still, and of course Crazio's absent, but we should get over that anytime soon, I hope. At least I should. With a win rate of 93.62%. Then a little bit lower, TSM Moo Random, which of course will not be playing in the finals because TSM Moo is involved in Cherry Pie. We've got McGrae, and McGrae is... It's surprising to see him behind TSM Moo Random, but never underestimate TSM Moo. Then Killabot with the last update in 2016. Was hoping for an update this year, but still kicking ass. Then be Reaver, Neo Edmund Zerg, which we'll be talking about later as well. Then Steamhammer by J. Scott. And Microwave, that is really surprising me because Microwave, normally not that dominant, but is really throwing players around. Then Willybot with the Protoss gateway play. Cherry Pie picking up the pace, is really approaching these top spots, and was at number 10 earlier, but will be looking to gain a couple of places. It really does look like it's learning. Tier Protoss by Simon Prince, also doing very well, and Thomas Veda. The carrier bot last update in 2015 was a minor update, only a couple of cannons in the main to stop Leaderbot then, but the real last update is in somewhere 2013. Then Eric Hammer, good to see you back, mate, and Andrew Smith, and that is really an oldie. It's from 2013, 25th of May last update. Then Sija Shu, Overkill, and this last space will be available. Sija Shu is number 15, but as TSM Moo will not be joining the fun, Alien is looking to enter the round of 16 as well, but you can see the difference in this section are very minimal, so it's not done yet. Andrei Kurdiamov and Martin Rokas, Dave Churchill, Zur, Black Crow perhaps, depending on the opponents, also have a chance to make it into the round of 16. Then we are going to go into the next game, and this broadcast will all be looking forward to the round of 16, so I have taken the liberty to take some replays of bots which are looking like they might make it into the round of 16, and some of the major contenders for the last spots. Here goes Thomas Veda versus Killabot, and this of course will be interesting to see because Killa is one monster, and I was really hoping to see an update from Marian Diveka, but unfortunately he couldn't fight at the time this year. He did so last year, came back out of inactivity, and his new update really, well, if you just see how it plays, it's an amazing piece of code. And Veda is just going to do its one pylon, forge 2 cannons, nexus, and then tech as quickly as possible to carriers. And oh dear, the probe is being chased by a couple of Zerglings, and this trick has been... oh, and the probe snuffs it. So 3 bases up for Killa now, and the question is how fast can Xim get those carriers airborne, and what can Killabot do to stop it? We've got the core, we've got the first starport, and then we have got the next starport, a couple of cannons. And I must say that even after all these years in which I have been watching StarCraft Loot War and the AI scene, I really like this build order because although it isn't the quickest and it's rather vulnerable to siege tanks and other kinds of busts, it is quite well thought through because the balance between the minerals and the gas spending is so exquisite. That's really hard to do. Fleet beacon, and the first starport starts flashing. More starports, more pylons coming up. 4th base started for Killa, and now we are going to see the Hydras. So this is going to be a timing thing with a lot of Hydras, and the Hydras are nearly there, and you are going to see... oh, they're going for the pylon, and you can see we've got speed, we've got range, we've got +1 nearly finished, and the interceptor upgrade and +1 are... well, the interceptor upgrade is finished, the +1 is nearly started. Oh, and the Hydras, they mess it up. A large number of them die, but versus the interceptors, they are doing quite well. 5th, oh hello, 5th base started for Killabot, and Ximp only on 2. The onus is now on... Oh, they are going for a lot of cannons, but I think they want to kill the pylon. And now Killabot may have a problem because the critical mass of the carriers is too great. And the Hydras have got a hard time dealing with the interceptors. So many interceptors, but by now there is the 6 base operational. So many Hydras are streaming in. The interceptors are down. The naturals being depopulated for Ximp. And without the economy to back it up, it can't surely sustain a carrier build like this. The main is mining out, still a little bit of juice in there, but the natural has been sacked and Killabot is all over the map. Make no mistake, if you are facing this Gentlebot in the round of 16, ooh, the carriers have, another group of carriers has hit the natural. But by now there is also, oh dear, I think it's going to be able to take out the main and the natural. The question though is, what will it do if it cannot longer produce? Killabot has killed all the workers, and as, oh yep, it's locked down these carriers over here. And that's the sad thing, because now this is the only fleet of carriers defending the base, and without that the main is going to go down, and that is the game. A couple of carriers without interceptors stuck on all edges of the map. Killabot taking it convincingly, albeit a little bit tight, not really that convincingly, versus Ximp, the carrier bot. Now we've got Ice Labs, and Ice Labs isn't really looking like it will make the round of 16 this year. But I was really wanting to talk about this Neo Edmund Zerg, because Neo Edmund Zerg is at a comfortable, and I need to check this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place, and that's quite a feat if you are only doing this a 4 pool. So Ice going for the quick barracks, and the Lings, yeah, now it's found, and the bunker is up, so I think that is how you shut down. Oh, but all the Marines die, and all the SCVs have to come off the line, and now more Lings are coming, and that was a big mistake by Ice, and now oh dear, all the Lings are over this. I thought Ice had this with the bunker at the high ground, but Marines were too ballsy, they moved out, and the second wave of Lings caught them before they could re-enter the bunker. Now all the workers die, and this is how you get a 6th place versus very good bots with a 4 pool. Just let them slip up once and then jump at the throat. So last Marine, well, good luck with that, and I'm going to call the GG because nothing else is going to be shown. And then another game of Thomas Vida's Ximp, and this time I pitted it against TSM Moo, or I pitted it, the tournament software did, and I decided to show this game because TSM Moo random unfortunately not going to be in the round of 16 because, well, TSM Moo is with Facebook's Cherry Pie. TSM Moo random can do ridiculous things at times, and if this is going to be the last game I show of TSM Moo in this tournament, I hope it's going to be a good one. So Ximp, pylon, 2 cannons and a forge, or a forge first of course, then a lot of probes, and let's see what's going to happen. TSM Moo going for a handful of Zerglings, and by the time they'll arrive here the cannons will be up, and you need a lot of Zerglings to kill 2 cannons, so that's going to be a problem. Natural has been started, and another hatchery. Drone transfer going off, and Ling is scouting out all the position. Bots should do that more, just scout everywhere, and that's a pretty quick lair. You can see TSM Moo stockpiling a lot of money, and once the lair finishes it can explode into some kind of tech path. 3rd base up, handful of Lings just guarding the Protoss base, and really the Ximp has got 2 dangerous stages. One before it gets its cannons up, the other one it can sit back on 2 base and produce carriers, but if you can deal with 2 base carriers, you've got to make sure no drone is going to come out and start a 3rd, because then you'll be dealing with a 3 or 4 base carrier play, and that can be very, very ugly or beautiful depending on which side you're on. So TSM Moo now with a handful of Mutas, and we've got the Corsair, and that's something that should be noted as well. If Ximp spots any kind of air unit, it will not make carriers, it will make Corsairs, and you can see why with their splash damage versus stacked Mutas, they can do so much damage. And of course the Corsairs take a beating at first because their numbers are low, but you can see the Mutas getting quite low in HP as well, and TSM Moo is not building any kind of Scourge. What is happening, however, is that TSM Moo is taking bases on all sides of the map. This is the natural, and to be fair, oh, there's the third of Protoss, and Protoss will now start throwing up cannons there as well. And you've really got to nip that in the butt. That, I think, is a good decision with the Hydras. You saw Killabot kill Ximp with the Hydras earlier, and the Corsairs can't really hold out versus these land-based anti-air units. More Corsairs coming. The big difference is that although you might lose the air dominance and some overlords, with a handful of Scourge, Hydras and Mutas, you can do a lot. And Ximp cannot contest you on the ground, and that means you can take all the bases on the map. Drone transfer coming up, and that is going to be looking ugly. The worker transfers being intercepted by 2 Zerglings, and we've got the Hydra count growing. So the Muta count isn't being replenished, but with this Hydra count, these Corsairs have got nothing to say anymore, and Ximp is in a dire situation. If only these cannons had been placed a little bit earlier, but TSM Moo is now all over it with the Mutas, with the Zerglings, with the Hydras, and look at that eco run. TSM Moo's got 80 workers now versus the 35 of Ximp, and Ximp is stuck on 2 base and now can't even keep up with the Corsairs anymore to contest the air dominance of TSM Moo. Now TSM Moo hasn't killed a third yet, so Ximp might still be able to throw up a couple of cannons. It doesn't look like it, however, and TSM Moo is really taking all the bases on the map. Only this one's still untaken. And well, of course this one. And now the Lings come into play, and they've got so much DPS. This cannon wall, though, is still pretty strong, and it's going to cost a lot of blood. TSM Moo, of course, is willing to spend that, because with 90 workers and the entire map, it's only a matter of time, and you can see Ximp with an army supply of about 12, including this little batch of ground units, is not going to contest TSM Moo this game anymore. And you can see all the drones being transferred, all the minerals being mined, and once the economy is complete, that will be the entire map producing units. And I don't know what these Zerglings are doing over here. Oh, 3 cannons been busted by a lot of ground forces by TSM Moo. And TSM Moo going for a couple of lurkers. Let's look at the main. We've got the Ultra Cavern. We haven't got a Defiler mount anywhere, I believe. Or we should be able to look there. Oh, God, we've got the Ultras, we've got the Lurkers, and this base is going to be history relatively quickly. Oh yeah, we've got the Defilers. So this is going to be very, very, very ugly. We've got 3 Defilers. We've got only 100 army supply. Oh, almost 78. And now we've got Swarm. A couple of more Swarms might help, actually. And there comes the Swarm and all the units in the world. TSM Moo sitting back on a nice large bank. The ground forces of Thomas Veda are coming in, and it's such a pity that TSM Moo will not be playing in the finals because the elimination stages, because it's such a piece of art, and you can see what it can do to even the most powerful, and immediately a plague lands on these Corsairs. They are going to have their way with these overlords for a bit, but if your natural is looking like this, and your main is looking like that, there is only one answer to what the eventual outcome of this game is going to be. So I'll be calling the GG, and let's hop back into the next game. We've got Andrew Smith versus Zur Zur. And going back to the score screen, Zur Zur is, well, could do with a couple of good wins, could eventually make it into the round of 16, and Andrew Smith is currently occupying place 15, which is 14 in the grand, grand scheme of things. Where's my replay viewer? It's here. So Zur Zur versus Andrew Smith, and of course this game's already been played, so it's already integrated into the statistics, into the leaderboard, which I showed you a couple of seconds ago, but still an indication of how things are going to turn out. We've got the scouting drone coming up and the scouting probe as well. So these 2 workers are going to be passing each other unharmed. Lots of workers by Zur, and I really... oh dear, and the mineral steel, that's pretty good. Might be delaying the enemy build for quite a bit. We've seen... oh, we are seeing 2 gates now, and of course the Zealot might hit the Zerg base a little bit earlier. Now the pool's done, another hatchery started, and a creep colony, 2 creep colonies, that's really defensive. And that's a little bit of old school Zerg style, because you're really going to need that. Oh, now a lot of zealots are coming. I would say you are going to need a lot of workers and another base at least to fight Protoss efficiently. But if the Protoss is going to commit to a 2-gate, you might as well plant a couple of Sunkens, especially if you haven't got a single bit of army. So that's going to be a bit of a mess. And the first zealot is going to be attacked. Another Sunken is going to be thrown up. But still no... Oh, and these are going to die at the same time. But this Sunken is going to die as well. And... Oh, we've got... now it's a bit of an eco play. Who can produce the quickest? And if there are not going to be any Hydras, I'd say that the Zealots are going to have it. Zur hasn't really got that many workers, so... Andrew Smith has got a better economy, 2 gates pumping, and if you're going to hold everything with Sunkens, you are going to need a lot of good play. That's a good one, placing it in front of the wounded one, and now we've got 3 Sunkens up, so behind this Zur might be getting an army ready, and every zealot that's coming in now is going to be not really economically efficient, because it's going to take at least, here you go, 6 volleys, 6 spines before it can get a hit in, and then you are wasting a couple of 100 minerals for some hit points on a building which is regenerating, with a 4th Sunken being done. So now it's going to be about answering the question, what are these bots going to do next? And Andrew Smith has got the good economy. It's got 25 workers, it's got another gate coming, and this looks like it's going to be a cyber core. Yep, there we go, no natural yet. Oh, more gateways. So going to continue the pressure of one base, but now there is a Hydra as well. And I think that if Zur can manage to get an army, yep, that's the Hydra speed as well. If it can manage to get a Hydra army together with the Sunkens, and you can see how few hits, only 1 hit got in there. If it can keep its Hydras alive, it will be in a good position to take the rest of the game. And this is what it shouldn't do, namely fight with the Hydras. If you got this many Sunkens, let the Sunkens do the fighting for you. And now this Zealot is going to move back. There is 1 damaged Hydra, and it should be really careful. And you can see these Hydras taking relatively too many hits. I should have waited until I had a little bit more Hydras before moving out, because although they regenerate at a decent rate, they are quite fragile. Now Andrew Smith going for an expansion, moving out with 6 Hydras at this point is not advisable, I would say. And if your micro is not good enough, even with speed, to avoid a couple of hits, there is going to be a goon which will be able to kill a couple of your Hydras, and then you have a 2 versus 1 base situation, although Andrew Smith is really throwing away all its units, and you'd really like to see a Dark Templar or something to take charge of things. And Zur is going to do a 1 base Hydra play. This game is so tense right now. This Corsair can't really do anything, and if Andrew Smith's Skynet is going to lose the natural for nothing, it will be a big advantage for Zur, and it looks like, oh no, they're going after the probe now. These Corsairs can't do anything, and this natural is going to go down, a couple of workers are going to go down, and now Zur is going to take its sweet time to take down the extractor as well, limit the sight range of Andrew Smith's Skynet, and if this goon isn't really very careful, it's going to die as well. But what can you do? You've only got 8 army supply, and the Hydra numbers are rising. So Zur, with a little bit more modern play, read that 2-gate aggression pretty well, and is now going to stack up money for things, I think, I don't know for what. Lots of overlords though, lots of supply, and lots of gas, so could have made a couple of more Hydras with that. But now the Hydras are in the main base, and if they are killing workers, the workers coming off the line. This goon, what can it do versus a handful of Hydras like this? Still no natural from Zur, and I think versus the really top, it's that which makes it a big problem to advance. But versus Andrew Smith, it's all said and done. Only when the enemy is dead and defeated. Oh, well, natural has been restarted. But by now we've even got a Zergling in the main base, and this goon doesn't dare attack. These workers don't dare attack, and this is going to be over. So well played by Zur. I'm just going to keep it playing in case just in case that this... taking another Nexus there. Skynet is going to stage a miraculous comeback, but with the natural for Zur nearly done, I don't think it's really going to look like it. And meanwhile, the army supply is growing. It's still only 18 Hydras, or 17 as there were a couple of Zerglings too. But here the new natural is going to go down, and the third has been found as well. So that's the GG. Well played of one base for Zur, and now we've got Tier Protoss versus Alien. Tier is looking to make it into the round of 16. And Alien is just out of, well, just might make it. It's hanging on. It's on the 16th spot right now, including TSM Moo, so it really can't afford to take a loss. But let's see what it's going to do to beat the macro monster, which is Tier Protoss. And Tier Protoss starting out with a pylon and a gateway, like most Protoss do, and then another gateway. So going to be a 2-gate. And contrary to what we saw Zur do, Alien is starting with an expansion and another hatchery, and that is a very, very, very late pull, and you've got to make the defense work. And it's a good thing that with the 2-gate Tier Protoss is sitting back for the moment. I think it will be amassing an army and then sending it over. But with 2 hatches now, you have got the opportunity to make some Zerglings, and you've got to send them over. So then you'll know when these Zealots are going to hit. These Zealots are going to protect the very quick expansion. But if you are into contact with the enemy, you can know when to build another couple of Sunkens or build more units. And for the time being, I think that mixing it up a little bit, so build 1 Sunken, build a couple of Workers, build a couple of Zerglings, as not to be entirely without an army, is the good way for Alien to approach this game. We've got the 3rd hatchery in base, providing a nice additional 50% of larvae, and you can see the worker count for Alien, although not the highest, is okay. Could be a little bit more, because as the Zealots are still here, you could say, well, let's squeeze in another full round of drones and try to do things like that, because with these Zerglings you're never going to hold off a concerted Zealot army, especially not if there is going to be, oh yeah, there it is, there's the Cyber Core, if there are going to be Dragoons mixed into that. So you're really going to need either a lot, and I really do mean a lot, about 8 Sunkens with additional army, or some kind of a tech switch. And here is the tech path chosen for Alien. It's the Hydra Den, and now sending over some more Zerglings just to keep tabs on the enemy. And I really like it as well, because if you are not going to build an army until the enemy is approaching you, you've got the army to deal with, plus every production facility in the homeland of your opponent producing units as well. So that can be hard to deal with. That's not going to be an expansion, that isn't either. And I'd really like to see Zerg take either this expansion or some of these over here, just to get a little bit of an economic lead, because if you are going to play 2 versus 2 base, at least get more workers, and you really should be looking to be 1 base up versus your enemy. That's 3-4 Sunkens, and that's a lot of money, and I'd be much happier if Zerg would take another base. But for the time being, this is the way things are rolling. You've got the forge spinning, and if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be the +3 with the armor as well, the range and the leg speed. So that is that. Zerg army at 11, handful of 3 Hydras, handful of Zerglings, and I don't for the life of me know what this drone is trying to accomplish. It's really beyond me. 3rd base now being taken for Zerg. I'd say okay, but a little bit late. And you are going to have to work on your army a little bit better than that, because it was 11 earlier, and although your natural is protected, you cannot expect to project any kind of map dominance on the map with an army of 15 army supply, even if you are playing Zerg versus Protoss. So while the 3rd is finishing up, and now it has, worker count for Zerg is slowly rising. It's 32 now. Couple of workers being transferred. That's always a good sign if a bot has got the code to do some kind of load balancing on the workers per mining base. And Tier isn't getting a worker out because the army is refusing to protect any settlers. And now it is coming, and now you've got this awkward position where you've got this really angry and relatively well upgraded Protoss army, and you've only got 16.5 army supply to deal with that. And of course the Lynx can manage a run by, but there is more coming. And that's 15 versus 60. So Protoss is quadruply superior to the Zerg at this point. And we've got these 5 Sunkens just standing behind victory and starving an ignominious defeat. Third has been up now, and Zerg has lost 3 army supply while retreating, lost the Overlord as well, is nearly supply blocked, and the Hydras are buffering for the Sunkens, and that's not good because the Hydras are expensive, the Sunkens are expensive, and this is the hammer of Tyr, well, not Thor, but Tyr, which is now falling on the Zerg's head, or toes, or whatever. So the first 2 Sunkens are being engaged and are dying. We've got one more in the rear, one's hastily being started. The army of Zerg is gone. It's only 3.5 army supply versus 50, and that can't be good. However you look at it. So, but these 3 Sunkens are doing their job pretty well. We've only got a couple of goons, which cannot really damage Sunkens without taking damage themselves. This Sunken is getting pretty low though, and these 2 have been damaged as well. So Zerg is holding on by a thread, and this is going to be the problem. The third started by Protoss. Protoss got a lot of workers, lots and lots of infrastructure. Not really the most tech heavy at the moment, but the army production capacity is enormous. And Zerg's only got 51 versus the 120 army supply, total supply for Protoss. And although it's sort of what kind of silly place for building another hatchery is this. And you can see Zerg taking damage at this point. It's 110 versus 55-ish, if we might summarize it like that. And now Protoss is gathering up another army, and it might not do that because the third is exposed. Only 3 goons over there, and Zerg isn't jumping on the chance to take another base. Oh well, here goes a worker, so perhaps that one's going to take a base. And no more devious technology being developed as well. We've got this one hatchery, the sunken field isn't being regenerated, and if I know Tyr at all, it's going to build more upgrades. +2 started, and that is going to be a big issue. Now Zerg is going to attack the third immediately. All the workers are being pulled off, and the next logical step would be that this army intervene here to protect the mining base and reduce the mining time lost. 4th base now being taken by Zerg, and one Overlord training this this silly observer, and that's really something that is typical for AIs. They are being given the position where a cloaked unit is, but they cannot target it unless they've got detection. But things like this, you wouldn't see any human player setting an Overlord to chase an observer. That's just not done. And Zerg still got 12 army supply versus 70 of Protoss. Hastily, the Sunkens are being rebuilt. I don't know if they're going to be in time. And perhaps this hatchery might be buffering damage now. Oh, this is going to be such a hard fight. But by now there is also some kind of a SimCity where the Zealots can't really reach anything, and the small Zerg army is being butchered in the fields beyond the sunken colonies. The saving grace might be this base over here, but it's pretty late, and now Protoss is going to make another dash for it. Huge army, but it was 70 earlier, and with production now falling to 50. So this sunken field is doing quite well in absorbing the Protoss units. And this hatchery did take a lot of damage, but a lot of Zealots got killed by the Sunkens. A lot of hit points have been regenerated meanwhile, so I think that 300 minerals was worth it. And this drone is very brave, and it is also very dead. So unfortunately, worker transfer from the third was more successful. Now we've got 4 versus 3 bases, but Zerg's really got this issue on its hand where it's got an army supply of 2. And then you can have all the Sunkens in the world, but as soon as Protoss is going to take a 3rd base, it should be, because the main is mining out. And natural must be getting low at that time as well. Oh, and we've got a lurker, and the observer killed by a couple of Scourge. And now I think that Zerg might have a decent chance if it kept not... Oh dear, all these workers wasted, that's such a shame. So I like the prioritizing of Tyr. And the observer is gone now, so these lurkers are going to do a lot of damage. They should fight in tandem with the Sunkens though. Still a lot of Sunkens, also some having been built a little bit further back. And with 3 lurkers in the front, 1 at the rear, this Protoss army is looking a lot less impressive than it did moments earlier. And now we've got 4 bases, we've got lurker tech, and the Protoss army throwing itself on the walls of these sunken defenses. And oh, the goons are getting so very low, and now Protoss should be looking to mass up another army, but it will be hard to do so because the main is out, 4th hasn't been taken, the natural's getting low, and Alien looks to be in a good position to be taking this game. With the lower saturation, the main is still producing income, as does the natural, as does the 3rd and the 4th as well. And this observer should be killed. Oh no, the Hydras don't commit, and Zerg loses 2 lurkers because of that. That's really sloppy, but you are going to need code for that, so that's always... It's easy to say, well, kill the observer, because then the lurkers over the Groons, but that's not easy to do. But you can see Zerg has got 11 army supply, now 12 versus 60, and Protoss is throwing another wave at the enemy. Main is now out, and this I think will be the last wave before the naturals mining out, and this is a really weird place to build another hatchery. Sorry for saying so. And this army is now going to lure these zealots into the 3rd, which is not a wise thing to do because there aren't hardly any sunkens at the 3rd. They are now fighting together with the sunken, but the Hydras all get out microed, and it's 4 zealots versus 1 Hydra and 1 sunken, and that is not good at all. More sunkens are hastily being thrown up. This drone is bugging out like a madman, and now we've got a zealot into the worker line at the 3rd. And of course, I think, oh well, the sunkens haven't been rebuilt, perhaps because there were lurkers, and this one lurker is still doing a lot of damage because the observer's AWOL again, and this one zealot is doing so much damage in the 3rd. This Hydra is being a bloody coward. It isn't. You've got the backup of this one sunken, and now it's going to fight. But the Hydra micro of Alien leaves much to be desired, and this one is going to die because of that. Now Tyr is pushing again at the natural choke. Only 2-3 sunkens remaining, and 1 lurker still untouched. But Tyr might just still break the enemy like this. And although there are overlords everywhere, this is a stupid place to take another base. And a Zerg army is still impossibly small. It's only 7.5. The combat micro is just not good enough, and Tyr is going to do lots of damage because of that. And there we go. Where is the army coming to come from? That's the question. Where is it coming to come from? Coming from. Natural is mining out, and if Zerg can hold this, if Zerg can only hold... Oh, and yeah, that's very good. The lurker's still there, and the 3rd is sort of up, and although the Hydra's micro is abominable, the lurker gets on a little bit closer. We've still got 3 sunkers in the rear, and although these combat units are absolutely gobsmackingly stupid, and the Spire is suffering heavily because of it, I think that Zerg might just hold. This Zealot is dying over here. We've only got 1 base economy left. A handful of units is still infiltrating. And oh yes, further reinforcements are being cut down by a small Zerg strike force, and still the base is standing. We've still got 2 sunkens, one's being rebuilt, a little bit of army is being sent over, and this 1 lurker is saving the game for Alien. Tyr cannot manage to send over an observer and army units at the same time. I'd really like to see how many kills this lurker has got. Unfortunately I can't. And these 2 sunkens are not going to get up. This Hydra, of course, you should not be doing that, my man. You should wait until your friends are there and only then attack. But if these 2 sunkens get up, the army flow from the Protoss base has been stemmed. And although this is no place to take a 5th, the main is mining out. Ooh, this is going to be so close. But now we've got a handful of Zerg units, 9.5 army supply, only 27 for Protoss. The workers are being rebuilt. The defenses for the time being are being left where they are, only 2 sunkens. But now Zerg is outproducing the Protoss, and if Protoss loses this 3rd, it will all be over. Here we go with the lurker full support. Of course there is an observer now, but there is no longer any combat units, and there is a small Protoss striking force, but it refuses to come to the aid of this 3rd base, and this is going to be the game. The 3rd is going down, the natural is out. Protoss, although still in possession of a superior army, has not found the gap in its logic to fight the Zerg where it hurts most. And now Alien is going to run away with it. Still money in the bank, and I can't for the life of me understand why you would have money in the bank if your army is only 15 and a half, 20 minutes into the game. So Protoss, these zealots will be holding on for a little bit longer because they are relatively well upgraded. They've got the +3 and the Zerg hasn't got the upgrades. But now it's going to be an attrition war, and Protoss can replenish 25 army supply, Zerg 16 and a half. I'm going to speed it up a notch because I think Alien deserved having this game play out for the victory. It has suffered so much at the Battle of Stalingrad with all the Sunkens which died. And there we go, another base being taken. Alien a little bit slow, bad Hydra micro. But one lurker saved it, and of course the expansion saved it. So that's going to be the game. Tyr has still got a handful of units, but they are only here. And yeah, that's that, as she wrote. So without further ado, let's hop into the next game, which will be Eckworth versus Syria. And Overkill, of course. Let's hop back. Overkill, where are you? Where is Overkill? Nowhere near to be seen. Okay. Interesting. But perhaps this was one of the recommended games, so I'll cast it anyway. Because Eckworth is one of the bots of the University of Carlos III from Madrid, and the other ones are playing bad, and Eckworth is sitting at a win rate. Well, I might show that at least. How do I write X? This is really the one. ECG. Eckworth has a win rate of a little under 50%, which for a new bot is quite decent. So without further ado, let's show how it got to that point. It is starting out with a depot first, then the barracks, and then gas a bunker in a suspicious position, but oh well, you'd need some special run-by logic, and that's hard to write. So bunker in a good position, SCVs in a bad position, and happily building all kinds of buildings. No money in the bank, keeping your money down, always a good idea. Overkill going for a committed Zergling play, looks like, with another base, hatchery in base, and that is going to be the third in base hatchery. So that must be good for a large number of Zerglings, natural being taken as well, and that's a really strange build from Overkill. So the author is called Syria and the bot's called Overkill, but let's not spend any time with that. Army movement for Eckworth, a little bit suspect, but I think with all the upgrades it's going to get and the medics, it's going to be able to do quite well. Of course it should be, and that's hard for bots to do, it should be taking more a position like this, where you can focus all your damage here without being able to get overrun like that. But it seems like the Marines will have it over the Zerglings for the next couple of minutes. This problem though, that the third base for Overkill is being started. We've got Mutas coming up, and Terran's still on one base with 21 workers, and the Marines are getting killed every once in a while. The Muta run by killed a couple of what are they called? SCVs, and then flew off to this side of the map for some very dark and incomprehensible reasons. Third base is up, and because the Terran army is still here, the Mutas are going to hover over the command center and die. That's very unfortunate and uneconomical, but what can you do? And the Muta micro of Overkill leaves a lot to be desired. But of course that's a very hard thing to do. Oh, got an attack in, and now we're going to go for a run-by for the touristic tour of the base of Eckworth. I don't know, Eki. Sorry, I really would like for anyone to write me. You can see my email address at the top left, how to pronounce that. But versus these stim Marines with the medics, you can't really do too much with only Mutas. Ling numbers are increasing though, and the expansion is up for Terran. It could do with a little bit of defense, and the Terran army isn't all that great. and also not really protecting the natural. But the Zerg has found nothing here, and it's just parading the map for reasons, and that's always interesting. But now it's going to hit the natural, and if you want to know what 2030 Lings are going to do with an unprotected natural, it looks suspiciously like this. Now the Marines, though, with the medics in tow, are going to be enjoying this. And what are these Hydras doing? Oh, now they're going to move out. Handful of mutas as well. And really, as Overkill took third at CIG last year, I really had my hopes up, but it seems to be doing some quite stupid things as well. And Eckworth really, well, it could be trying to take another base, but the Zerg forces are being... What are the... It's... Oh, that's a nice place for another base. Snuck one out there. Army movement for Eckworth is not really all that great, but still decent, as Stim Marines can do quite well versus Hydras. Have we got any upgrades? We've got a couple. We've got Stim. As you can see, Shu having the superior army and taking a fourth base. So although Shu isn't able to deal the killing blow yet, oh, and all Marines are out there now, so with one medic, oh, that medic's going to have a lot of work to do. Oh, more medics are catching up now. So I think that's a nice stroke for Eckworth. The Comsat's still alive, and large numbers of Zerg units are being killed. The only thing is that if you have got an expeditionary force like this, oh, look at all the damage through the Hydras. These Marines are really kicking ass. Ooh, that was expensive for Overkill, and Overkill hasn't got that large of an army either, but it's got one base more. It's starting the 5th base yet, and are now going to plow into the main base. The bunker's still loaded, but as it isn't being repaired, no, repair is too late. The expeditionary force tries to hit it from the rear, but isn't succeeding, and although a small cluster of Marines and medics, the medics are running off. There are just too many Hydras at this point, and you can see the map being awash in Overlords and units being streamed in. 5th base is up, another base being started for Eckworth in some remote corner, but the next base, the 2nd base I must say, has been found by the mutas and are tearing it down. So Shu taking the kill over Eckworth, and I say GG. Next game up, it's McGrae versus Microwave, and as this was approaching the round of 16, I'd like to show a couple of good games. So I last week I presented the midfield, and the week before that the lower part of the bracket of the round robin. And now we've got the first muta finding the first couple of Zerglings, and we've got 3 Zerglings, set mutas. 3 Zealots versus 6 Zerglings. That's not a fair fight. 10 versus 6 might be okay. More Zerglings coming up, and the Zealots, what's that? There's some kind of weird wiring mishap in my brain. This is a probe. 3 Zealots can't really get too much done versus 16 Zerglings, and they should be really careful that they do not die, especially since Zergling speed is up. But if you keep standing around like that, it's not going to be working, is it? Now with the defender's advantage, it might work for Protoss to hold on, especially with a goon for some ranged suppressing fire. But the Zealots are all cowering in mineral lines for reasons, and this is a very, very, very ballsy. Lots of Zerglings early stage of the game for Zerg, because if it isn't going to work, namely because the enemy has got Zealots and they can be produced cheaply and quickly and deal a lot of damage to Zerglings, you were in a bit of a muddle if you've only got 14 workers, tiny army supply, 2 Sunkens, so that's good. But the Protoss, sorry lads and girls, the Protoss army is now advancing. We've got 3 Sunkens and a handful of Zerglings, so that's good. And that is the Spire being started, so looking good for Zerg for the time being. But this Protoss army shouldn't be getting too big, because then they can just overrun this paltry army of Zerglings and these 3 Sunkens. Meanwhile, the Protoss army is being reinforced, and the 4th Sunken is being started, and the Zerglings are blocking the ramp for reasons. And I really at times should like to know the motivation of AIs to do the things they do, but at times it's really hard to imagine, even though I am a human and they are bunches of lines of code in some digital document on a server in Prague. It's really hard to imagine what they are thinking or what their decision tree looks like. Another sunken being built. No expansion yet for Protoss. That's really interesting. Templar Archives, so might see... Oh, we've got the first muta out. That's good because, well, there aren't any goons in the middle of the map. But with one muta, what can you do? We've got a couple of bases for Zerg, but the gas count's pretty low. And 2 mutas are helping defend over here. And now the Sunkens are doing some damage, and that's really hard. It has proven for Protoss to keep out of range of these Sunkens, which have got a decent range and do quite a decent bit of damage. But the Protoss army is really getting out of control now. We've got the Templar. Have we got Storm yet? Yet Storm is done. So these Zerglings should really be careful, and the Mutas too, because they are so fragile. And these Templar are going to do such a lot of damage. Here they come. The Sunkens are not being defended by the Mutas, and the Zerglings, here they come. The first Storm goes off, kills a lot of Mutas, and oh dear, oh dear, that was really a big mistake by Zerg, bunching up units like that. And now the Natural's being started. I think this defense is broken. Has Protoss got +1? No, even without +1 and +1 armor for Zerg, and this handful of Sunkens, Protoss is powering through. Only 2 Sunkens and 4, 5, 2, 1 Zergling standing behind certain death. There you go. The Natural is broken. Right now the Natural is broken. Protoss is powering through. There are more storms yet to come, but there are no enemy army units to cast it on. And McGrae beating down Purple Wave with relative ease. Not breaking a sweat, just doing it off one base. And I will be calling GG because otherwise this broadcast is going to be way too long. So next game will be Reaver versus Tier Protoss, and a PvP ground-based is always a pleasure to watch. We saw earlier the macro potential of Tier Protoss, and if you don't know Reaver, you'd better pay close attention because it's really going to be a sight to see. Now, some kind of a 2-gate forming a SimCity at the Natural choke, or the choke to the Natural, could be here, but is there, and also a SimCity with a cannon from Tier. And I think that is really demonstrating where these bots are at the moment. They are not going to be four-pooled or rushed or anything like that. They can set up their game, both going for a quick expansion. Reaver a little bit earlier, Tier only now starting it, and that was delayed of course by the Forge and the Cannon. Worker-wise, Reaver of course a little bit ahead, because the Natural Nexus was finished a little bit earlier, and now Tier Protoss has got a Natural Nexus of its own, so it's going to be producing units. And that was a little bit sloppy, losing all your shields for some scouting information on a cannon you knew was there. But hey, that is AI for you. As a human player, you can't do everything perfectly as well, and that certainly goes for AIs at this time. Dave Churchill last year asked some of the participants in AIIDE 2016 when they thought that AIs might reliably beat the best human player, and the answers varied somewhere between 3 and 20 years, but around 5 years there was a large consensus, and then it really wasn't as hot as now that Google with DeepMind was working hard to beat Go. And I really think that if these tech giants get their shoulders behind it, in 2 or 3 years it might be doable. If you see what Cherry Pie has been able to achieve in a very short time, if you see what top bots like Crazio, yes, I'm going to talk about you even though you're not in the tournament, what Crazio can do, what TSM Moo can do, and McGrae also, that's really, it gets really frightening, because I've never been able to beat TSM Moo, and Moo has been updated hundreds of times since. And not that I'm the best player, but as the average player versus top bots, you're really struggling at the moment. So that's really the way of the future, I think. So 2 or 3 years, Give the guys like Crazio and TSM Moo and the big companies like Facebook, Google and Alibaba some time, and they will do it, surely. That's no discussion. That said, we've got the first Reaver out for Reaver, no shuttle. Tyr is going to sit back on 2 base, try and do its thing. You can see though that with the 3rd base nearly up, that Reaver is going to be in a better position and even's got an observer out. So Reaver with the better scouting information. Now Tyr is coming in, and there is a very, very, very small army over here, because the main army, if you can say it is the main army, is over there. And this Reaver had better fire some very good shots. And there is the first one, and it does a bit of damage. But this one Reaver and the Zealots should be fighting together with the cannons, and the shuttle should not be taking that Reaver out of the war zone. The main army is coming back slowly. The question is, can Tyr Protoss push it? Oh god, the shuttle takes out the Reaver, and then you'll get a very, very, very weak defense off your natural. The Tyr army is being oh, hello, that was stupid. Tyr taking a 3rd as well, and having a large army. Oh, this is so... oh. Yeah, you better be fighting, not trying to run by a 40 army supply army like this. And you can see Tyr Protoss now getting ahead with the army, and no new Reaver for Reaver, so that's really, really interesting. The probes, though, have all been killed. Oh dear, it's a massacre. Still goes that with a 55 supply army you can easily take down a natural and a main. Oh, and this is really... another big shot. Oh, we've got a scout now for defense, but it's going back. Oh god. And they both are so slow. Oh god, oh god. No, don't. Oh, this is so stupid. I like to see that. And it's going to die. Oh no, it's going to be here. And now this... oh dear, here we go. So we've got one Reaver and no army here, and a large army of Tyr over here. We've got... have we got Storm? Storm is still brewing. But these island bases never been taken by AIs yet. The code hasn't been written yet. Nexus is up. No work. Oh, here comes the worker transfer. That's good. But it's... ooh, that was a nice shot, but it's very far out action for this Reaver, which should not, in my opinion, be at the front. These bases have never been colonized, and it's the first time I see a unit dropped over there, so... congratulations on Reaver of claiming that that island base in the name of Protoss. Unfortunately, only with a Reaver, but military presence always precedes civilian presence, so yeah, you never know. Oh, and that's if you have got Storm. Oh, the Storm goes off and another one goes off, and that's a lot of damage. And you can see Tyr Protoss with the bigger army is suffering a little bit, because these Reavers and Templar are going to do so much damage. Well, if this Reaver would stop bugging the hell out. That was. That's really... it's so hard to criticize these AIs for doing stupid things, but remember how hard it is to code a decent AI, and to code a top AI is one of the... I'd say going on the relative stage of the game where we are now, chess beaten, go beaten by AIs, and the best AI to play Brute War is probably only better than the average human player, and not like the top player at all. It is so hard to code a top Brute War AI. That's really one of the things that is... it's not easy. This Reaver is very exposed though, and we've got another one. Now with the cannons. Ooh, that's a nice shot. Where is that Storm? Please cast a Storm. Must have a Storm. And the Reaver died for no reason. No, and yeah, that's going to be the fourth base for Reaver. But these Templars should not be in the front like this. Oh, for Christ's sake, cast a Storm, please. It's... and this is one of these moments where I do wonder what these AIs are thinking, if they are thinking at all. That's really... is the shuttle going to do something? No. Going to fight Zealots with High Templar, and another Reaver is coming, but why aren't these bastards casting their storms? That's really the question at this point. And Tyr with the vastly technological... with the simple army. Yeah, what are you doing, mate? waiting for the scout again. Oh god. Ugh. It's beyond me. So Tier Protoss is going to town on the base while the Reavers are cowering in all sorts of places. And now the probe transfer is taking... B Reaver seems to have keeled over because it's got a... No, it hasn't got a lot of money in the bank, but the army has dropped brain dead or something. And the probes are fighting zealots. You can imagine how that goes. This is so hard to watch, but from time to time this happens. It happens, and although you've got an army which is almost as large as that of the enemy, if it is brain dead, you will lose to 3 zealots, a mining base, will be long distance mining from another base, and the probes not being able to arrive anywhere because they keep mulling about. And Tier Protoss is... Oh, Tier Protoss is keeled over as well. Okay, so GG crashed. Too bad. Next game. Steamhammer versus TSM Moo random. I'm going to speed up the initial stage of the game a little bit because this broadcast has been running for quite some time. And I saw earlier in my overview that I had quite a number of games left. To wit, I've still got 7 games after this one. And every week I say to myself, well, don't make it too long. And TSM Moo is going for the Vulture, but meanwhile there are workers in the mineral line. Oh, there are 2 Marines as well, being protected by the SCVs, and although some SCVs die, in the end all the Zerglings, oh, save one, snuff it. Oh, and the SCV, the Marines are now exposed, that's not good. But the Vulture is prepping. Should be, there it is. And now the Zerglings haven't got anything to say anymore. So what's the backup plan going to be, Mr. Steamhammer? It's going to be a sunken between the gas and the natural, the main hatchery. Always a good idea, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to stop TSM Moo. And oh, that's the scout. This Vulture is going to be killing Zerglings all day, happily, every day. Oh, but there are a lot of Zerglings though. So it might wake up a little bit earlier, and these Vultures are being a little bit cowardly. Now we've got 3 though, so I'd say 4. You really need a backup plan, and you need it quickly. Either some Sunkens or other units. Will Vulture speed be starting? No, we've only got Ling speed, so for the time being the Vultures aren't as fast. But with their huge damage versus Zerglings, they can do, of course, quite well. TSM Moo taking it slowly with 2 factories, building a machine shop and building 2 more factories, but it looked like it. How he's going to power that off 1 base, that's anyone's guess, but there we go. Zerg is now tightly walled in by 3 Vultures, and even the hatchery is in range of their menacing grenades, which are doing nearly no damage to buildings, but hey, whatever. So TSM Moo doing everything off 1 base, meanwhile posting a lot of mines at the Zerg on the creep. And yeah, you can see for Zerg this isn't going anywhere. You've got 9 workers, you've got 0 army. Of course you've got 1 sunken which will protect you from the Vultures for a little bit, but the naturals being started for TSM Moo. And there you go, more units are being ferried over. Oh, we've got Muters. Oh, hello. Missed that. Unfortunately for Mike Steamhammer, they are batshit crazy. While they should be out there hurting Vultures. TSM Moo has already switched to Goliaths, quite a number of them, and with 9 versus 32 workers, how can it end any other way than in a total victory for TSM Moo? And these these Goliaths can't really fight the enemy for some reason. And I really wonder what's up with the games, because Steamhammer appears to be, well, it's still working and not doing too unreasonable things. Now the Muters come back into action, but by now we've got so many Goliaths, it's going to be over soon. 3rd base for TSM Moo random, and still units being produced. So yeah, there we go. Going after the Sunkens, all the workers have been killed. I'm going to call GG and hop into the next game, which will be Eric Hammer versus Iron. And Eric Hammer, I should be showing you, resides somewhere around, where is it? Round... Oh, it's just on board for the round of 16, but with a decent margin between the players not able to reach it. So should be okay. And a couple of months ago, Arakama had this one build which would be punishing Iron every minute of the day, and people kept voting it in like no tomorrow, so that was interesting. Now, no Zerglings out yet for Arakama, and these SUVs have already gotten some drone kills in. And now with 2 Hydras, these SUVs are dead. So, it's a bit of a rock, paper, scissors thing, because you've got... once you start out with ZVT, you've got Vultures over Zerglings, and then Marines over Zerglings and Hydras over Vultures, and Mutas over Vultures, then Goliaths over Mutas, and then it would be a sort of tech race for who had the best unit at the best time. And I like the decision making by Iron, just taking these fights, because there will always be an SUV out to repair stuff, but these Hydra numbers are growing and are snowballing out of control, and at the time where you have 10 Hydras at your natural choke, it's very hard to do anything sensible about that with just Vultures. And you can see now we've got 8 Hydras, we've got the first tank out, you've got no siege mode yet, the bunker is not, is only now being fed Marines. So that's okay. A couple of mines out, a couple of Vultures are still roving the map. But these Hydras are going to find the tank, and you shouldn't have your tank exposed like that. And with the Concave, Iron kills them all. And now Zerg's down to 3 army supply. That was a very ill-advised fight to take. And Iron is going to try and do its containing thing. Of course, there is a 3rd base out, but once Iron sets up shop outside of your base with the turrets, with the mines, and with the tanks, and with the Vultures, you'll be sorely pressured, and it will be no pleasure at all to get out of that. So what could Zerg take away from this is not to waste units like that, and although Hydras are doing quite a decent job with the repairs, and just tanks are pretty good even when they are not sieged, and if they are sieged, ooh, they're going to do quite a lot of damage. And these Hydras are so low, so Zerg should be trying to get a fight going where it's got more than 6 army supply in the fight, or in total. But you can see Iron already trying to contain the enemy, and once the tank is there, it's going to be a downhill game from there. So Iron still on 1 base, and that's nice SimCity, by the way, is not bad. But now as a Zerg you can't get out, your Sunkens are being ranged, and your Hydras, which were so superior on the middle of the map with their mobility and killing Vultures, they are reduced to cat food in a matter of siege tank shots. So yeah, that's very unfortunate. No one's going to get out unless you've got some kind of superior play up your sleeve, and with only 8 army supply, it's not going to work, is it? Because although the Mutas are there, Iron's already got 2 Goliaths out, and with all the repair going on, I think that Iron has got this game locked down. The 3rd has been mining happily. The natural's being constructed for Iron, and Iron is also planting some turrets just to be sure that no Muta makes it over there to the main or the natural. And the 2 Sunkens which were guarding the natural have been blasted down already, and this last one is going down as well. So now the infantry, or the mechanized infantry, will be rolling up the natural, killing workers. The siege tanks will slowly unsiege and then siege again, killing all the Hydras. So that's pretty much the game. Iron, I can trust to make no mistake from here. We'll be hopping into the next game, which will be Steamhammer versus Dave Churchill. And Dave must be thanked for building his bot, making it open source, documenting it so well, making it random so you can start a bot from all 3 races. And then I should be thinking Jay Scott in the same breath, because he made Steamhammer, on which more bots have been built. But if you look at the genealogy of Brute War AIs, you will find an astounding number of them based on Steamhammer or University of Alberta. Either bot has had a lot of versions, So that's a boon to the community. But as a fighting force of its own, Dave Churchill isn't where he was anymore. Last year it sported some decent win rates with all the cheesy strategies, but Dave's been so busy with his work and running the tournament that he hasn't found time to work on his bot. And he said, well, it's more for others, I'll provide the platform and they can experiment with that. For the time being, however, we've got a handful of Zerglings and a very small hand at that. More Zerglings in the rear and a handful of Zealots. So this could go either way, especially as all these Zerglings refuse to fight with their friends and are going... Oh, we've only got 1.5 army supply left. This is going to be the natural, and on the back of that is going to be a... No, I won't Yeah. Piss off. I'm not going to delete my windows because my drive is full. I'm recording videos that will take up some space, and don't be angry about that. I will have to check if the main hard drive isn't full, so I'll focus on this battle, which will be bloody, and then I'll see what is to be done. Oh, I've still got loads and loads of space for this broadcast, so that will not be the problem. And sorry for my Windows 10 to screw me over in a broadcast like this. So Dave Churchill taking it convincingly, and even without an expansion, just going for the Zealot aggression. Next game is Thomas Siri versus Eric Hammer. And Eric Hammer, game before last was versus Ironbot. Iron, of course, is quite a foe, and Thomas Siri is one of these older bots, 2013, and actually it's quite decent. It should be on the level with Skynet by Andrew Smith, only it's got one major flaw: its build orders are a little bit less refined, and it keeps all its units in one large combat group, so that may come in unhandy if you are trying to play on a big map like that. If you're trying to defend and attack simultaneously, it will be a large mess. Or it can be. For now, we've got 2 Zealots guarding the correct spot and 2 Zealots versus 6 Zerglings, which will result in a bit of a tug of war. 3 Zealots now, and I think the Zealots haven't lost any hit points. They are golden. Zerg, however, is splitting and expanding. So 3 bases up already, and no other tech than a spawning pool. Couple of creep colonies. I could have done with 1 because that's 3 workers, and your worker count isn't the highest as we speak. So what have we here? We've got 4 Zealots versus a handful of Zerglings. Natural being taken by Syria, and that is good. Dive, yeah, +1, always a good idea if there are Zerglings lurking in the wings. And the Protoss, though the Zealots are falling and all the Zealots are dead now. Sorry, missed that. Let's rewind because I can do that. We've got 4 Zealots, 5 actually, versus 10, 20 Zerglings. More Zerglings are coming up. And that is looking like some kind of a Zergling push by Eric Hammer. Eric Hammer going for the throat. The Zealots are doing their thing. But because the natural has been taken, there is only 1 gateway. And now we've still got 12, 10 Zerglings here. This Zealot is doing his best, but by now we haven't got any fighting units anymore. And we've got a natural in grave peril. So there we go, the workers aren't fighting, so these Zerglings are regenerating quickly, taking down the natural, and this one, or these 2 Zealots are going to have a lot of fun with that. And Eric Hammer looks like it's going to take the game. Or is it? Oh no, the Zerglings haven't been reinforced since ever. Eric Hammer has been going for a large round of drones, had 9 workers earlier, now has 23, and has got a lair as well, and a Hydra Den. But the push has been defended, and now we've got a Reaver and all. That's pretty cute. Boom, there you go. Ha! And Syria still has some workers left. Syria has quite a bit of money, isn't building any workers, and that is going to... what is it building? It isn't building anything. Perhaps it's looking to build an expansion somewhere, but you can't see it's stuck. And Zerg just pushed a large round of Zerglings. Oh, sorry, let's see how it goes. One Zealot and a Reaver, there's a lot of Zerglings. And the rest of the units isn't doing anything. We've got, I don't know what that worker's going to do. Going to build a Nexus? Surely there are minerals now, so... But where is it going? Going to die. Another one is leaving the base. And Arakam is sitting back, just taking another base. Built some more workers. Upgraded the creeps into something. Oh, we've got the natural now, so perhaps Syria will get unstuck. Yeah, it's building probes, but the big problem is that there is a large army and only one Hydra. Oh, and an observer too. So that's pretty cute. We've got one... Ooh, that's going to be the weight of the world on your shoulder if you are one Reaver. Can we see how many scarabs it's got? No, 5 scarabs, so it's fully loaded. But the only thing being built right now are workers, and that is rugged play by Syria, but it's not really... Oh, there it goes! Oh, and we got a muta and all. So that's, I thought perhaps with a couple of really well-placed shots it could have dealt with the ground army, but with, yeah, that surely is the GG. All the workers are going to die. Arakam has got the map, that's the GG. Hop into the next game, Woolybot versus Brian Weber. And Brian Weber has been working hard right before the tournament to get his bot up to shape. Unfortunately, not really good enough to make the round of 16. And Woolybot has been doing its thing all year long. And I should show you a game where it does so. It is the pylon into gateway, into another pylon, into a zealot, and there you go. That is basically what it does. And Brian Weber is going for a handful of Zerglings, another in-base hatchery and a sunken to protect it. That's good, but now the hammer with the zealots is going to fall. And that is very hard to hold as any kind of player, because it's still a very strong build. You can put out so many high damage units as a Protoss. And now you can only hope with the 2 sunkens you can get something done. Huli is stuck on 15 workers. And the Zealots are picking some really unfavorable battles now with 3 sunkens, but the Zerglings are trying to fight them by themselves, and that's never a good idea. More workers for Woolybot, and unless these sunkens are going to come into play, another sunken, that's good, but you can see where the problem is. The problem is that these Zerglings, they move in on their own, and not a Zealot has yet been killed. And although these sunkens can do quite a bit of damage, I think they're going to be losing this battle. There are too many Zealots, and the DPS of the Zerglings is lacking. So if the Zerglings would have fought together with the sunkens, they might have had a chance. And if you are going to be facing Woolybot in the round of 16, you'd better prepare for anything like this, or hope that your bot has learned to do so by now. Woolybot, meanwhile, still building workers, building Zealots, nothing spectacular over there. Third gateway coming up, all the workers going to be hammered into the ground. I say GG, and let's hop into the next game. Microwave, which has been doing so well this tournament, and really surprising me, because I knew it was a decent player, but I had my reservations, but it seems to be well suited for tournament play. Now the enemy is Primo, and Primo is an open, well, it's all open source mainly. It's an open source bot by Johan Hagelback from Sweden, where he is assistant professor in AI kind of stuff, and he has made this bot a platform. It's well documented, not as good as Steam Hammer, I must say, but you can use it for lots of things. And it's playing random, so this time rolled Zerg. Let's see what it's going to do. The build order is kind of wacky because it's got 400 minerals and it's not doing anything with that. While Microwave has already planted the natural, has got the sunken operational, and is now building a handful of Zerglings. Oh, and the Zerglings are over there already. So, yeah, that's great. Zerglings of Primo are barely holding it. Oh, 1 round of workers, that's good. Might just hold it in the... Oh, there, it's going to be so close, but these... Oh, the Zerglings are going for the workers and kill these 2 yellow Zerglings. Can they kill the White Zerg before the workers have been killed. Yes, they can. And still one worker is alive. Lots of money in the bank for Primo. The problem though is that we've got 2 bases already, and these 2 Zerglings are going to run straight into their death. And there they go, and now these Zerglings are going to town on the yellow base. While the lair is brewing, more workers are operational for white than more than double the amount. And that is going to be the GG. So unfortunately not the game I was hoping for, but be sure to be looking out for McGrae. It's going to roll this tournament, and I wouldn't want to encounter it in the round of 16 if I were an AI. Perhaps I would be better as an AI, but as now I wouldn't really like to play McGrae for my survival. I don't think I'd confidently win that. Now we've got Lucas Moravec, because I want to show a game of Lucas Moravec. And Lucas should be... where's Lucas? Lucas is a little bit higher up. It's not really in the right range. He's been working hard, and I thought, well, I'd show you a game of... Where is my... Oh, it's just a quiet phase. I'd show you the game because it's sort of a... I like Lucas. Now, Reaver with the SimCity-ish thing at the entrance of the natural, going for the 2 gate. And there we go. First 2 zealots moving out. Lucas taking the other path and is going... not going to find it. Got 2 zealots doing stuff here. And with the 2 gate of its own, it should, with the defender's advantage, be enough to hold this zealot aggression. Reaver though is going for a gas, and of course gas is not yet being mined here. We've got 3 gates for Lucas, so perhaps Lucas can get something done with the larger zealot numbers. Zealot numbers are quite equal at the moment, but Lucas seems to have the better combat micro, as these units over here are congregating alongside this pylon, while these 3 are running from the zealots, and they might incur some mild slaps with a side blade. Lucas going for zealots and zealots only, while the Reaver is going for gas. So that should be said. And you can, as a minerals only player, you can stay in the game like this because the army sizes are equal right now. Workers for McGrae are, yeah, well, the worker count is just much higher. And although the army count is a little bit lower, you will have the defender's advantage, and soon you'll have goons as well. Ooh, now the army advantage is 10 in favor of Lucas, and Reaver should really be careful also in this rearguard action kind of thing, that you don't lose too much, but with 2 cannons, and soon there will be goons. I think you are going to be in an okay position to hold this off. Lucas right now might be teching or might be taking another base. So far, versus a good opponent, I don't think that Lucas is letting us down. With the Zealot only versus the Goon army, that's going to be a bit of a problem, because these Goons can basically push you back, and you've only got a chance if you got the speed or the surround on your enemy. And by now, Reaver's got the bigger army. These Goons are really paying for themselves, and also we've got the expansion started. And Lucas is doing the same, but it's going to be too late, I feel. Reaver though is pulling back for the time being, now pulling in again, but these goons are still a force to be reckoned with, and range is done as well. So there we go, Lucas now contained with a smaller army, no goons, and more is coming over from Reaver. Reaver starting the expansion, and now ignoring the expansion of Lucas is going for the throat, and all the zealots are running. Very unfortunate behavior if your base is under attack and your workers are being well, posted behind the mineral lines for some reason. Reaver might yet take the tournament based on the path it's going to take. It's got deadly Reaver micro and Reaver drops, and it can take down anyone with that. And also its standard ground-based gateway play is not bad at all. So, last game of today. It's Galleon Chen versus Cherry Pie. And Cherry Pie, all eyes are on you, because you are the one entry from the Facebook team, and Facebook, of course, should be able to go far as they are such AI experts. Then again, the project group hasn't been started for very long, so it's even for Facebook, it's not easy to set up a thing like that. And without putting too much pressure on it, we are just going to see how it goes. Galleon Chen is going for a 2-gate, and so very many Protoss are going for a 2-gate. That's really, it's a very strong opening, but you also are going to need a very strong transition out of it. And we've got the 2 gates and a handful of zealots, and this drone is very angry at the Nexus, so it's trying to bite off one of these tentacles. And oh no, the zealots don't really have enough. They're going out on a mission, while Zerg is making a round of Zerglings. We've got 5 zealots versus 10 Zerglings. I should say the zealots should have that. And in the first skirmish, a couple of... oh, these Zerglings are really tenacious. And this zealot... oh, it can't hold, but the Zergling count has been whittled down, and the rest have got to run for a bit. And right now we've got another gateway put up, and that's going to be a core, surely. This drone has found another angle from which to poke at the Nexus. It's going to take a while, but half the shield has been knocked down already. In the middle of the map, the Zerglings are fighting the Zealots, and the Goon range is starting, but the Zerglings, and that's really well balanced with 2 Sunkens in the rear. The Zerglings are, looks like they are going to fight their way through. Now we've got a Goon though, and the Goon together with the Zealot, yeah, it might take that. And now you've got the same situation as in last game, where you've got an army with a ranged unit versus an army without a ranged unit, and you should not really be too bold, because there are still a number of Zerglings out there, and you're going to lose your Goon, and then it's going to be very painful. Still, Chen, with the production capacity it's got, is in a good shape, and ooh, meanwhile the entire shield of this Nexus has been killed. But we've got a number of Goons out now, and ooh, that just in time that these 3 Sunkens finished. And what have we got more? We've got 1 in-base hatchery, that's rather modern in Brute AI. And this Protoss army is pretty strong, and Cherry Pie just placing a creep colony, morphing it into a Sunken just to make sure. And this Nexus is still under attack, good lord. Chen, what's Chen building? Just units, just going for units, but the units are rather stupid, and the workers too, because they are still being produced. We've got 35 workers, and not 1 or 2 of them are thinking about chasing this drone off. And now we've got a large-ish army. We've got 4, 5. They might do it now before the SimCity is up and try and kill all these Sunkens, but they don't have the balls. They don't commit. I think that's a wise choice. But if this Nexus is going to fall, it's going to be over for Chen. Although it's got the money to build another. Oh no! This Goon took 1 shot at the drone and then it buggered off again. That's so sad, I should say, is the correct English word. And now Cherry Pie is going for the +1 attack. Link speed has been finished. Have we got a lair? We've got a number of hatcheries, and I think this is going to be a lair. So Cherry Pie with a predilection for in-base hatcheries. Rather small army. I think the Goons could take this together with the Zealots. And the drone, no! Oh, all the units and all the workers just going to stand by and watch it happen. And now the drone is going to regenerate over here, and there is no more income for Galleon Chen. Galleon Chen is with the Zealots and the Goons. Of course you can do a lot, but there are just too many Zerglings, I feel. And also there is nothing coming in, nothing being produced at all. For some reason Galleon Chen is still producing stuff, but should be plopping down a Nexus. It could have done well this game, but Cherry Pie just received a gimme and is chasing back the last remnants of Galleon Chen's army back to base. So this was this week's broadcast. It's the Student StarCraft AI Tournament, the finals of 2016. Round robin is nearly finished. We have got 587 games, so we've got about 500 left. And then we'll be in the know of who is going to be playing in the round of 16. One last request: if you like what you see, come visit us at our website. You can watch these bots play all day, even after the tournament, and you can learn how to code these beautiful monsters, learn how to play against them, and if you would really be so kind, please support us on Patreon, because we really need your support to keep this tournament running. For now, I say thank you and see you again next week. Goodbye!